Thank you for joining us. Today on Live at 5, Disney does it again. The gates are open at the newest attraction in Orlando. It's Hollywood Comes to Florida as visitors flood the new MGM Studio theme park.
And I'm a starstruck Steve Overton at Disney MGM Studios. I'll tell you what it would have been like if you'd been here today.
And our top story takes us to Orlando today because America's love affair with the movies is now a theme park.
Kids of all ages jabbed Walt Disney World to see the wonders of movie magic Disney style. The new Disney MGM Studios theme park officially opened its gates this morning. Visitors can now walk the Hollywood Boulevard of the 30s and 40s, see the stars' handprints in front of Grauman's Chinese Theater, and put themselves in front of the camera. Newswatch 8's Elaine Fitzgerald is there live among the crowd, where everyone has obviously had a full day of movie thrills. Elaine?
They sure have, Wes and Marissa. The word here is crowded at the Disney MGM Studios, but there's so much here to see and do that visitors here don't seem to mind at all, at least the ones who got in. By 9:15 this morning, the studio parking lots were full, and newcomers had to wait. So even when they added 5,000 extra spaces. People packed the ticket counters early, full of excitement just thinking about the star-studded world they were about to enter.
I might want to be in a movie.
We hope to get on the Regis show, which we have reservations for.
When the gates opened, people streamed in, and it wasn't long before everyone felt like a star. The Gutierrez family waited up all night to be first inside, and for that they were presented lifelong passes to all Disney attractions everywhere in the world. They watched as the studios opened with fanfare and glitz. The fantasy world of well-loved Disney characters came to life. The fanfare never ended. Everywhere there were places to go and special people and things to see and do. Sherry Graves volunteered to be a boat captain in a special effects show. She got the wind and the rain and...
Kind of scary because you didn't know, they didn't tell you ahead of time what was going to happen. And then when the water just came flying in.
The Lee family enjoyed Catastrophe Canyon the best.
Oh, I liked it. I thought it was really fun.
I like it so much.
Now, the studios expect to be full each day for the next 4 months, so if you plan to come here, come early, get here by 8 in the morning.
That's good advice, Elaine. Well, it's a lot of fun to actually be involved in all of that.
I think I'll wait till about December.
Yeah.
Well, some of those rides can be a bit intimidating for the little ones or for even the older ones, but if you like those movies and those thrills that you see on the big screen, imagine how much more you might enjoy them if you could see how they were made. Well, that's part of this studio theme park. You know, a lot of people think that Walt Disney had wanted to create Disneyland or the Magic Kingdom first, but this was actually what he had in mind, a studio tour to show people how the tricks of the trade are performed. We'll take a look at the new Disney MGM Studios theme park. First News returns. Disney MGM Studio theme park. Its Hollywood feel, its wonderful themed movie appearance right here is a unique combination because it's more than a theme park. It's an actual working studio, designed specifically, though, for the tourist, for the visitor who comes here, yet functional enough for even the most demanding director. Today, with the opening of the theme park, visitors can visit the sound stages where the actual filming is in progress.
I think for our audience to be able to share and touch that experience is what makes this truly unique. There is no other place like it in concept or design or experience for our guests.
Jeff Kratzenberg, chairman of the Walt Disney Studios, says the park is designed not to interfere with actual production, but enhance a visitor's understanding of TV and filmmaking. Then, once they know the tricks, it's up to the audience to make them work. For example, in the Monster Sound Show, 4 people are selected to match 500 sound effects to a movie clip.
Whoops. People don't get a chance to see this sort of thing. You never really think about sound in a picture. It's something you kind of take for granted, and I think when they come to our show, they'll see that it's a lot of work. It's a tough job putting in sound, and if it's done right, you don't notice it. If it's not done right, it sticks out like a sore thumb. Superstar Television uses today's electronic technology to put people into some of the best TV shows of all times.
Audience members are scanned by a casting director, and those discovered win a part on a classic I Love Lucy episode. Or can make believe they're on with Johnny Carson cracking jokes.
You know, Johnny, I'm no musician.
There is adventure in the epic stunt theater and danger in Catastrophe Canyon. The great movie ride is like holding a visitor's pass to some of the most famous film settings, from Raiders of the Lost Ark to the Emerald City from The Wizard of Oz. Thom-lined Hollywood Boulevard is a guest yellow brick road to adventure. Built like a giant movie set straight out of the fabulous 30s and 40s, it's a montage of streamlined modern architecture, chromed Art Deco, and gaudy neon. And you're likely to encounter stargazing street characters, as did Florida's normally unflappable governor.
Deco de la Rue! Let me say on behalf of the dozens of my readers every week.
He was here Saturday for the corporate dedication of the park. And although there was some fanfare then, Disney pulled out all the stops and brought in all the stars for today's public opening. Bob Hope, Steve Allen, Maury Amsterdam, and everyone's favorite Mouseketeer, Annette Funicello, were just some of the stars on hand. Having made their careers mugging for the cameras, the cast of stars treated paparazzi to an impromptu song with their favorite star.
I think without really being in Hollywood, this is about as close as you're going to come. It's pretty real. It's pretty right on.
There was a Hollywood that was in the glamorous imagination of the American people, which was never precisely the same as the reality, and it's remarkably well recreated here.
Steve Allen, of course, talking about the brand new MGM studio and theme park. Now, there is a lot, as one might imagine, to be able to see here, so we'll be here for the next couple of days. Kathy is going to be talking with some of the stars, the media people who are also here, coming up in just a few minutes. Now, also on hand yesterday for one of those sneak previews, Kelly Craig was here. Kelly, did you get out here and ride anything?
I think I did just about everything there was to do, Alan. It was a really good time. And you know what? I think, unlike some other theme parks, this one was really geared towards adults. Wouldn't you agree?
I think so. I had my two children out here yesterday and took them on a couple of the rides, and they were a little bit scared. So I maybe would say somewhere 9, 10 years old, maybe on up. But I don't know about the real young ones.
I'd have to agree with you there. Thanks, Alan.
Steve Overton Live says he doubts there is anyone in America, or for that matter the world, who wouldn't have been thrilled to see the opening of the Disney new MGM studios today.
Steve, along with the rest of our crew, is in Orlando and joins us live from Disney World, where he will be all week. Steve, are you trying to remain that objective reporter, or have you just kind of launched in head on to this wonderful thing you're in?
Well, Marissa, when I walked in, I realized it would be impossible to remain objective about something like this. You know, I don't know if you've ever been to a Disney grand opening before. I never had, but I can tell you, it's an exciting place to be. For one thing, you get to see the national news media at work, and sometimes it's pretty interesting.
What are you going to say, Bobby? What are you going to say?
Another station is on that satellite right now.
There were lots of TV stations, a battery of radio stations from across the country, and the weatherman from ABC was there, but things were tense.
Yeah, but I don't have anybody here now. You cannot put the phone down. It's a cellular phone. When you put it down, I lose it.
And if you'd been here today, you would have seen the most popular network weatherman, NBC's Willard Scott, warming up for the Today Show.
Hooray for Orlando, that phony crummy little Orlando. It's showbiz and we're all together now.
All right, looking good. Flowers holding up.
Yeah, so am I.
And the ladies just love Willard.
I love to see him. I see him on TV every morning. I bet he's the greatest.
Better than Brian Gumbo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He makes you feel good.
Yeah? Oh, he's make the show excellent.
And you got to see Willard do his live report.
Let's hear it for the first one. Only in America can you find stardom by being #1 in line.
But the neatest stuff is the traditional Disney glamour. No one is more willing to be extravagant. The fluff and the feathers backstage, the doves they released during their grand opening, the fireworks, and all those brightly colored balloons. What a show it was. And the stars that you meet. You know, I managed to get backstage and meet one or two of the famous Disney characters. Well, several. Actually, all of them. But you just can't help it. You get caught up in all this stuff. And the people stars. Well, Bob Hope was just hanging around. Alan Young, remember him? He played Wilbur on Mr. Ed. He was giving autographs. Steve Allen and Audrey Meadows were there. She had trouble with the heel of her shoe.
It's the only part of me that hasn't fallen apart.
And then later in the day, there was a great parade featuring Annette. When you see Annette Funicello, you just go, that's Annette Funicello. She looks older, but she's just as beautiful as ever. Listen, later on, we're going to show you more of what's out here, including all those famous rides and how they bring you into the movies. It's a great time.
And Steve is spending the week at Disney MGM Studios. Let's go out now to the park with Steve.
Hello, Wes. Hello, Marissa. You know, I think that Disney President Michael Eisner understated it when he said, and I quote, that this place is a full day's experience. When you first enter the theme park, you find yourself on Hollywood Boulevard, the way it looked back in the 30s and 40s. Distinctive architecture and shops. The road leads to a full-scale replica of the famous Chinese theater. And the theater is the entrance to the great movie ride.
Nobody's sticking my neck to the noose.
It's a ride into scenes from famous movies like The Wizard of Oz and Aliens. Next, Disney takes you into the world of entertainment television.
From the Disney MGM Studios, it's Superstar Television.
And in this case, you're the superstar. You're a guest on the Johnny Carson Show, thanks to computer electronics, and you get to star in your own show, too. But if you'd rather stay behind the scenes, you can learn the art of special effects at Disney's Monster Sound Show.
Hello?
Whoops. After trying your hand, watch a tape and see how well you did. If you're a fan of adventure movies, you'll be thrilled to see that Disney has recreated famous stunt scenes live in its epic stunt theater.
We have a lot of very ambitious stunts with gas flames, big explosions, very violent physical crashes and things like that.
Watch Indiana Jones roughing up his opponents, outrunning a huge boulder and barely escaping a gas explosion. And then take a break on Disney's backstage tour. From this shuttle, you'll see the sound studios, and you'll get to observe real productions underway. You'll go through the back lot, where residential and city streets have been created just for the movies. And then you'll stop in Catastrophe Canyon. 76,000 gallons of water comes crashing down at you. Once again, Disney, afraid of not doing enough, goes overboard. You'll be lucky if you get a moment to catch your breath at Disney MGM. Now, Stunt Theater hasn't opened yet, but the rest of the events here are open, and it's really nice. It's $29 a person, which isn't that far out of line with the other parks Disney has in Central Florida. And the directions out here, pretty easy. I-4 to the Disney exit, follow the signs to Disney MGM. Now, I'm going to be here the rest of the week.
Mouse Empire reached beyond fantasy and came full circle to Walt Disney's original dream, showcasing the magic of film. Diane Perper has the story.
Gary and Rita Walker and their son Chad are old movie fans. So once inside the gates of the new park, the Colorado family headed for the attraction that celebrates our film heritage. The Great Movie Ride takes visitors to the scenes of famous celluloid moments.
The Great Movie Ride is to your left, folks. Backstage tour is to your right through the green arches.
Gary was impressed real characters interact with the computer-controlled ones.
Switching of the characters, you know, the person leading the tour and then they'd switch with someone else. That was different.
It's a new dimension Chad likes better than the rides in other Disney parks.
The other ones, you just go through them, and there's some scary parts and some boring parts.
But now?
It's all fun.
Long lines that stretched outside Disney's backstage tour suggest the opening day crowds are most intrigued by how movies today are made. The Walkers toured the animation studios to see how Disney cartoons are produced.
During production, thousands of drawings are produced, many of which never reach the screen.
Some of the artwork is even on sale. Rita says Disney's Imagineers have a hit.
I thought it was great. As usual, anything Walt Disney does is super. I mean, they do it in a big way. They don't leave anything out.
Of course, the stars that fill the Magic Kingdom and Epcot are here, too. Rita was the only one to brave a picture with Pluto.
Come on, Chad.
The only sour note, a downpour that scattered visitors, but a Disney character even took credit for that.
This is special effects made. I myself designed it specially for the occasion.
That was a special director. The only two complaints we heard today, long lines, even though Disney officials timed it out and said none of them were longer than an hour. And some people expressed some disappointment that the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular won't be open for another 6 weeks. But maybe that's all part of the Disney strategy to try to keep guests coming back to the park.
I'm sure it'll work, and everybody goes back to the other parks. Thanks.
I'm sure.
Looks exciting.
Yeah, thanks, Diane.
Hotels, restaurants, even adult entertainment complexes that would never let them have to go anywhere else in the state. Well, now with this third park being opened, and later on this summer, the opening of the Adult Pleasure Island, which was quite an exhibit in itself, perhaps they have achieved that. But as we're finding out now from Pulse 13's Larry Elliston, you had to be here mighty early to be first in line to attend the MGM theme park.
Disney Chairman Michael Eisner and entertainer Bob Hope opened the turnstiles just after 8 this morning when they welcomed the Gutierrez family from York, Pennsylvania. Alan and Mary, along with their 2 kids, had been waiting outside the park since 2 this morning.
Come on in, guys.
By 9:20, the park was packed and temporarily closed.
Well, I hope it's going to be a very favorable impact, that there'll be more tourists here, or the tourists that come to Florida will stay longer in Florida.
The grand opening ceremony for the Disney MGM Studio Park was sprinkled with stars. Buffalo Bob and Howdy Doody were even there.
Action! Clear the set!
The theme park, with its Art Deco styling, represents the Hollywood of the 30s and 40s. Construction on the $500 million, 135-acre attraction began 3 years ago.
We just live in St. Pete.
The Grimshaw family's not going to California anytime soon, so the new park is perfect.
Everybody loves the movies, and we all watch TV all the time, so it's really fun to see how it's made and, you know, really get to see the behind-the-scenes type thing.
The Backlot Studio Tour is pure Hollywood.
Walt Disney Studios features sound stages, outdoor sets, state-of-the-art editing, and sound studios.
Over on Hollywood Boulevard today, you can have a video screen test and buy a copy of it for $29.95, or see original Mouseketeer Annette Funicello. This latest touch of Disney magic has also increased ticket prices. $29 for adults, $23 for children. Admission for a family of 4 is just over $100.
This is just great. We're having a great time here.
Larry Elliston, Pulse 13, Lake Buena Vista.
And even at those prices, they're still expecting to have huge crowds here at least through the summer, perhaps into October when our summer tourist season ends. And they are very pleased with today's attendance. In fact, Disney planners are already busy getting ready on the next thrill ride, Star Tours, which should open up early next year. You and Kelly?
Boy, they never stop, do they? Alan, we talked about this a little bit at 5 o'clock, and that is that I don't think this park is particularly geared to children under 9 or 10, because some of the things that you see, I had the privilege of going there yesterday, some of the things you see are kind of scary. Don't you agree?
I would say so, especially when you're going on the backstage tour, when you get to Catastrophe Canyon, which we'll be profiling tomorrow night at 5 on First News. But I asked that question of a lot of Disney's executives. I said, was this planned perhaps for the older generation? They said, not at all. They say the young teenagers, the young people, the ones that are watching those Disney animated cartoons are very interested in how they're put together. So that part of the theme park is for them.
Okay, Alan, thanks very much.
With more to see and do at Disney, could tourists who had planned on heading to the Bay Area be siphoned off? Pulse 13's Scott Peelan talked to some of the people whose businesses depend on tourism to find out how they might be affected and what they are going to do about it.
4615. Marilyn Cord manages The Sea gift shop on Treasure Island. And Disney memorabilia, ironically, is a good-sized part of her business. But could the mouse that feeds suddenly bite?
It'd be new, and everything that's new in the beginning
Takes people away.
Takes people away. Everybody wants to investigate and see what this is all about. I mean, maybe I'll go down, too, for a day.
So you could have a dry year or two because of the expansion at Disney.
Possibility. Yes, it is.
Gary Broyles is vacationing from Detroit. Walking on the beach, he told us local businesses have absolutely nothing to worry about.
Disney has a lot to offer, but it doesn't have the white sands and the beautiful Gulf of Mexico.
Come, bask in our magic
And the Pinellas County Tourist Council isn't worried either about Disney overshadowing its beaches. In fact, they've even teamed up in what Lee Daniel calls their most successful ad campaign ever.
And I think they'll find the time to come to the beach. I mean, that's still a big part of any family vacation in Florida.
Well, the Tourist Development Council doesn't worry about visitors to our area getting beached out. They do think it's more than likely they could get theme parked out. That's why Busch Gardens in Tampa is preparing ways not to lose its market share.
We've got some announcements that we'll be making within the next couple of weeks that hopefully will provide some new and different things for the people to see at Busch Gardens.
But other area theme parks insist Disney's additions don't worry them in the least. Their message to the newest park, come on in, the water's fine.
Disney and I go way back together. Let me show you something here. This is a t-shirt that I picked up right after Disneyland opened in California in 1955. Now, it's a little worse for wear, but then again, so am I. 35 plus years will do that to you. But back in 1955, the entire Disneyland cost just a little bit more than $15 million. Now, when you talk about a single attraction at one of these theme parks here, they might spend $15 million on one ride alone. Needless to say, a lot has happened between then and now. But now, more than ever, when you talk about Disney, you're talking about an item that bears the stamp made in Florida. Thousands gather for this moment, each gladly paying $30 to experience Disney's new offering, Disney MGM. Like a corporate Peter Pan, Chairman Michael Eisner has Disney's revenues flying. He and Bob Hope happily escort in the first of many Disney MGM families to come. People make Disney what it is, regular folks from all corners of the world, all with a common Disney bond. There's L.B. Sheffield from Kentucky.
You know, all the excitement of first day and everything like that, they're really enjoying it.
Here's Cristina Braga de Cruz from Portugal.
Something to tell your grandchildren about.
And we've got the Grimshaw family from St. Pete.
Exciting.
It's very exciting.
It's Disney efficiency that attracts Disney flair. The heart of the activity at Disney MGM takes place here. This is Hollywood Boulevard. Now, not the Hollywood Boulevard you'd find today, but a recreation of Hollywood in its heyday, the 1940s. And it's only natural. After all, making movies created the Disney empire. Hello. It began, of course, with a black and white drawing of a mouse. 60 years later, Mickey Mouse, like all things Disney, has evolved and adapted to modern times, even ahead of their time. Visitors to Disney MGM will see state-of-the-art movie production as it actually happens. This is a working studio for movies made in Florida. But here, you can watch over their shoulder.
We built the ultimate park, I think, so far as motion pictures, in the studio theme park that we're in here today.
If movies imitate life, then rate this new Disney production G for gold. Now, that gold spreads further than just Central Florida. Let me tell you something. I had dinner last night with some folks from the Pinellas Tourism Bureau. They're out here marveling at all this Disney magic and knowing that its shadow casts its way all the way to the Tampa Bay area. They know because their latest theme combines Disney in it for their promotion for tourism in the Tampa Bay area. They also know that what is good for Disney is good for business in Tampa Bay.
Are you about Disneyed out, John?
Oh, absolutely not, Catherine. It is a little bit quiet here right now at the Disney MGM studios. It's closed for most people except the press, and we have a large contingent of people that are broadcasting out of here live right now. But come opening in the morning, it will get crowded once again, as is always the case when you have a new attraction out here. One good thing, though, it kind of eases off on the other two parks, Disney World and Epcot Center. Also, this is a little bit smaller than the other two parks. You can probably take in most of the attractions in one day. Believe me, though, there is a lot to see. It's a very enjoyable experience. Do I have a tip for you? Absolutely. By all means, when you come, wear sensible shoes. It's the smart thing to do. Catherine?
Very stylish, John, as always.
Thank you.
Now, you said that there is limited room at the park. Do they, like, close down the gates?
Well, what I am told by officials here is that at least for the 6 months, because it's a new attraction, there will probably be more interest than there is room for people here. But they think that at some point during the day, they will cut off entrance to the park and then one by one let people in. But after about 6 months, then it'll all get back to normal here.
Definitely something you'd recommend?
Absolutely.
The nice thing about this park, the beauty of it, is that you get to get yourself involved in it. I'll give you an example. Our photographer, Phil Selly, took part in a little soundstage exhibition that they had here. I can't really explain it to you. You'll have to come here and find out for yourself, but Phil was actually on the Johnny Carson show.
We'll never live that one down. Thanks, John.
He won't. He won't let us.
A famous mouse has some new trappings tonight. Mickey and friends, including Disney's biggest cheese, Michael Eisner, hosting the premiere of the new Disney MGM theme park near Orlando, Florida. The complex blends a theme park with a real working movie studio. Dave Willingham was there as the curtain went up today.
Natural disasters are just part of the trip through Catastrophe Canyon, one of the prime attractions at the new Disney MGM Studios theme park that opened here today. You might get a little wet in Catastrophe Canyon, partner, but not, repeat, not hurt.
Oh, that's great!
Congratulations. This $400 million blend of big league filming and Hollywood stargazing opened under threatening skies this morning, welcoming its official first family, Alan and Mary Gutierrez and their teenage daughters from suburban York, Pennsylvania.
And I found out the most important thing about acting is honesty. And if you can fake that, you got it made.
A solid week of star-studded partying, replete with hype, heavy even by Disney standards, led up to this opening. Heavy hype for a heavy attraction, sprawling over 135 acres, forming a lucrative triangle with the established Magic Kingdom and Epcot Center nearby. Those two put up banner numbers last fiscal year, grossing a record $3.4 billion on attendance of some 20 million, and raking in $522 million profit into the Disney coffers. Those are figures the movie theme park is soon expected to help double. Your first stroll here is through the Art Deco style Main Street. That sets the tone for the idea of the place, which is to recapture the Hollywood of the 30s and 40s, the glamour era of motion picture production.
It's a slow song, darling. Calm down.
Instead of the Magic Kingdom's Mickey or Donald, the street characters here run to the offbeat cabbie or trash man.
Actual lace from arsenic and old lace.
There's ample opportunity for the visitor to capture that 15 minutes of stardom they say we all do. It's an interactive, intensive place where you can star in your own cowboy video and buy a tape of the results, by the way, for $25. You can help put the sound effects into a film and maybe, through the magic of videotape, play a bit part in a sitcom. Catastrophe Canyon struts the special effects of an old-time Western. It's part of the backstage tour, during which you might catch a glimpse of a real movie being filmed and take in close-up views of props, scenery, all the juicy behind-the-scenes stuff, including a solution to the mystery of animation. With all the make-believe, it's a little hard to realize that this is a working movie set where several films already have been made, as well as a theme park.
I think for our audience to be able to share and touch that experience is what makes this truly unique. There is no other place like it.
Daily admission here is over $30 with tax, $23 for kids 3 to 10. Bring a full wallet. At the new Disney MGM Studios theme park near Orlando, I'm Dave Willingham.
Movie magic. Today was the long-awaited grand opening of the new Disney MGM Studios and theme park with all the glitter and fanfare of Hollywood. Visitors got to see all the attractions of an active movie studio, and audience volunteers like Sherry Graves had fun taking part in activities like the special effects demonstration.
Kind of scary because you didn't know, they didn't tell you ahead of time what was going to happen. And then when the water just came flying in, at least they gave you a raincoat.
The park opened at 8 this morning, and by 9, the parking lots were full, and newcomers had to wait to get in. Crowds aren't expected to thin out for months, so if you're going, we got to go early.
Good advice. Well, today was the grand opening for the new Disney MGM Studios theme park in Central Florida. It took 4 years and $500 million to make it a reality. And as Night Beat's Kathy Fountain tells us, cloudy skies didn't dampen the spirits of the starstruck who wanted to be there when the curtain went up.
Like horses at the starting gate, the crowds were chomping at the bit to push inside. The parking lot began filling up at 2 a.m. Comedian Bob Hope and Disney Company Chairman Michael Eisner picked a Pennsylvania family of 5 as the park's first guests.
We just wanted to be one of the first people in to see everything. Didn't expect this.
It was hooray for Hollywood as gala festivities kicked off opening day. Many had come here following Stardust dreams.
Hey, we've been planning this for like 6 months now to come down here for the opening.
The theme park features a back lot and working sound stages, which allow visitors to watch movies and TV shows being made. It also sets the stage for guests to become actors in their own television show. If success can be measured by capacity crowds and rubbing elbows with big-name movie stars, then opening day could be a blockbuster, even with a ticket price of $29 a person. Disney officials said they could have built this studio's theme park in California or any place else, but they chose Florida because they had 30,000 acres, a strong economy, cheap labor, and good state support. And there's a hint that there's even more to come in what they're calling Hollywood East. In Central Florida, Kathy Fountain, Pulse 13 on the Night Beat.